everyone! I am Karin G. NEBRAN, your reporter for today in EDUC 200 with the topic of Developing and Sequencing of Grade Level and Course Objectives. In order for us to be guided, these will be our objectives that we must attain. At the end of the session, the Master of Education students should be able to A. Enumerate the different guiding questions on how to identify, select, write, and sequence objectives. Letter B. Identify the different organizations of curriculum guide. And letter C. Provide additional information to help teachers effectively implement curriculum. If the philosophy and goals of a curriculum represent the guiding principles of the curriculum, then the grade level and course objectives represent the core of the curriculum. K-12 curriculum can refer to the courses or subjects taught in school from grades kindergarten through 12, as it is used in the field of education. K-12 curriculum usually refers to the specific learning objectives and activities experienced by students in grades kindergarten through 12. The specific grade level and course objectives include clear expectations for what each learner is expected to know and to be able to do, and how it will be measured. In identifying, selecting, writing, and sequencing objectives, the committee should consider these several key questions. Number 1. Is the objective measurable and how it will be measured? Measurement is hugely important because it will enable you to know whether an objective has been achieved. Effective learning objectives use action verbs to describe what you want your students to be able to do at the end of the course or unit. Aligning assessments with course expectations is much easier when you have written measurable objectives from the beginning. Evidence will need to be derived from a system, method, or procedure which has tracked and recorded the outcomes related to the objective to help in setting measurable outcomes. Think about the desired outcome and which elements can be measured. Consider these questions. Letter A. How will I know that the change has occurred? And letter B. Can these be measurements obtained? Number 2 question. Is the objective sufficiently specific to give the reader clear understanding of what the students should be able to do without being so detailed as to make the statement labeled or the objective trivial? Objectives should be specific. They should describe that the result is desired in a way that is detailed, focused, and well-defined. The following questions may be helpful in formulating specific objectives. Number 1. What outcomes are we looking for? Number 2. Is it clear what the objective means? Number 3. How will this be achieved and what strategies will be followed? Number 4. What needs to happen? Number 5, what are we going to do with or for whom? And number 6, who will be responsible for what, and do we need anyone else to be involved? Number 7, when do we want this to be completed? When writing objectives, especially for individuals, use action-oriented verbs which describes what needs to be done to achieve the objectives. For example, we use the words analyze, apply, change, create, determine, differentiate, identify, and perform. Avoid jargon words and phrases which are ambiguous or misleading, such as be aware of, have an awareness of, and be prepared for a variety of. Number 3 question. Is the objective compatible with the goals and philosophy of the program and the real and emerging needs of students? Philosophical beliefs and attitudes are important before attempting to work with other curriculum planners, instructors, and administrators. Philosophy provides a logical vigor, envisaging transcendence and disciplined imagination, which helps in the formulation of educational objectives. Learning objectives should be used to guide students as they work through the course and to assess their learning progress. Excellent learning objectives provide a guide for students when reviewing materials and preparing for assessments. Learning objectives are the most powerful if they are actionable and measurable. Number 4 question. Is the objective realistic and attainable by students? The concepts of realistic and achievable are similar, and this may explain why some of the terms used relevant as an alternative. Realistic suggests that there is a clear understanding of how the objective might be reached, that there are no circumstances or factors which would make the achievement of the objective impossible or unlikely, and that any potential obstacles and constraints have been taken into account. Relevance suggests that the objectives set are appropriate to the individual or team and their job, role, and the function, or at organizational level that they align with the overall purpose and strategy of the organization. Number 5 question. Are appropriate materials and other resources available to make the objective achievable? Appropriate materials and other resources available should be understandable, specifically its content and level of sophistication implied, what students should understand or be able to do. Do not proceed until this is clear to you and your fellow reviewers. Use the content expertise of the scientists on the team and consult your reference books to develop your understanding of what exactly would constitute achieving each standard. As objectives are selected and written, they should be organized in an orderly fashion. This order can be achieved in numerous ways: by grade, by strands, in units, in sequential levels of instruction, through essential questions, or through some combinations of these. Decisions about the organization of a curriculum guide should be made carefully and reflect the overarching philosophy of the program and the preferences of the teachers who are to use the guide. Letter A. A graded structure organizes objectives by the grade in which a student is enrolled and is the most commonly used structure. A graded structure is an organization by unit that groups objectives by main topics and may or may not be of differing difficulty and is most commonly used for middle or high school courses. One of the most important roles of grade level and course objectives is assuring smooth transition and curricular coordination among levels, particularly between elementary schools and middle schools, and between middle schools and high schools. Letter B. An organization by units groups objectives by main topics. Units may or may not be of differing difficulty and may be large or small, sequential or non-sequential. A unit organization is most commonly used for middle or high school courses. Letter C. Organizational objectives are short-term and medium-term goals that an organization seeks to accomplish. An organization's objectives will play a large part in developing organizational policies and determining the allocation of organizational resources. Achievement of objectives helps an organization reach its overall strategic goals. Think about how each unit helps achieve with course goals. Then, create unit objectives corresponding to those selected goals. Unlike a goal, an objective indicates a specific learning outcome, according to Stieri and Domenico in the year 2002. A goal may need multiple objectives to measure it. All objectives should be measurable. Measurable objectives allow instructors to observe when students succeed or fail to learn specific tasks indicated in those objectives. When the objectives are met, their corresponding goal is said to be achieved. Letter C. A strand organization places all of the objectives for a specific topic or strand together in a sequential order, without regard to specific grade. Such an organization lends itself to individual instruction and continuous progress within a strand. The term strands is used to indicate the disciplines within a learning area. For example, hymns, STEM, ABM, TVL, and etc. Each with its own associated goals for learning, and domains that group the related general and specific learning outcomes or achievement, aims, and objectives within a particular learning area or discipline. Letter D. A sequential organization outlines objectives in a continuous chain without regard for a grade level or strand and allows for individual students' progress along a continuum of skills and experiences. A sequential pattern of organization is similar to a chronological pattern but arranges information according to a step-by-step sequence that describes a particular process. Using a sequential pattern, each main section of information represents a main step that one should follow in the actual process. Letter E. An organization by big ideas or essential questions centers the curriculum on enduring understandings. This method develops assessment and determines criteria of acceptable performance related to the essential questions. Big ideas provide the conceptual thought lines that anchor a coherent curriculum. Have no simple right answer, they are meant to be argued. And essential questions are designed to provoke and sustain students' inquiry while focusing learning and final performances. Conclusions drawn by the learner, not recited facts. Often, an effective guide will incorporate more than one format. For example, a common arrangement lists objectives grouped by strand within each grade level. In this manner, the third grade level is provided with a complete listing of the third grade objectives, organized by strand or major topic. However, it is important for this teacher to have access to the second grade objectives containing skills that may have been introduced but not taught for mastery, as well as forthcoming fourth grade objectives. This information is often provided in a scope and sequence listing by strand that would place a specific third grade objective, for example, in the context of the entire K-8 strand. One of the most important roles of grade level and course objective is assuring smooth transition and curricular coordination among levels, particularly between elementary schools and middle schools, and between middle schools and high schools. In addition to the delineation and sequencing of content through objectives, many curriculum guides provide additional information to help teachers more effectively implement the curriculum. For example, some curriculum guides, number 1, provide an example of what is meant by each objective. providing examples on how to differentiate instruction and modify curriculum materials to meet the needs of high-performing and/or highly interested students. Number 2, suggest instructional techniques and strategies for teaching specific objectives. Number 3, suggest appropriate instructional materials that support instruction of specific objectives. Number 4, provide examples of how to differentiate instruction and modify curriculum materials to meet the needs of high-performing and/or highly interested students. Number 5, provide information on how the objectives can be evaluated. And number 6, suggest interdisciplinary links such as literature connections. Accordingly, curriculum developers have a range of options for formatting and designing an effective curriculum guide. So, those were the important things that we must keep in our mind on how to develop and sequence grade level and course objectives. Now, let us go back to our objectives to see if we have achieved it. We have already enumerated the different guiding questions on how to identify, select, write, and sequence objectives. Also, we have identified the different organizations of curriculum guide. And lastly, we have provided additional information to help the teachers effectively implement curriculum. So, that's all for now. I hope you've learned something from this topic. Thank you for watching. Bye!